matter. Attention, citizens of matter. Attention, citizens of matter. Attention, citizens of matter. Attention. Citizens of matter. Attention. I have come from the 17th dimension to here to tell you I broke the dissension and that my orders can never be questioned. Citizens of matter, I must have your attention. Citizens of matter, I must have your attention. You've gotten away with it for so long. My time will only make me strong. Now I must sing to the gathered throng. You pronounce the name of your town wrong. Citizens of matter, attention. Citizens of matter, attention. Citizens of matter, attention. Citizens of matter, attention.
Our top story tonight. President Ronald Reagan, during his weekly radio address, once again urged action on a Latin American aid program. If only he was as urgent about action on a plain old American AIDS program. This joke is going to get so dreadfully, tragically old. Modern science is amazing. According to a report from Lee Hotz, there are nearly 1,300 natural and mechanical components available to replace the ones God intended to give you, with some 2 to 3 million artificial body parts implanted into Americans in 1982 alone, says the impartial Robert Rice, Vice President of Dow Corning. We're not yet making the $6 million man, but we're getting at a big piece of the action. Speaking of big pieces, somehow I have a feeling I know where every penny of the artist's model $6 million would go. A report from Portland, Oregon says that... this is really bothering me. Can you fix it, please? No, I'm still too upset. Let's just do the next one. According to documents obtained by Scripps Howard News Service, more than 1,700 pounds of highly enriched uranium, enough to produce 85 atomic bombs, is missing from the government's top-secret nuclear weapons factory at Oak Ridge, Tennessee, a long but hardly impossible drive from here. Energy Department officials have declined comment, although experts say a loss of 11 pounds or more is considered significant. We here at NF84 have no idea where this missing uranium could be located, and strenuously argue there is no way we could fit all 1,700 pounds in the trailer in the back of our parents' property without causing a profound ecological disaster. McDonald's founder Ray Kroc died last week at the age of 81. In a moving tribute to the legendary entrepreneur, McDonaldland Mayor Aloysius Zanthropus McCheese said, "Words cannot express the sorrow we feel at this time, but we want everyone to know that a part of Ray Kroc will be in every McDonald's burger you eat, at least for the next 300 lucky customers." Also joining the choir invisible last week was noted The Phantom comic strip artist Ray S. Moore, 78. Moore took over from The Phantom creator Lee Falk after the first 2 weeks of the strip's publication and introduced many of the familiar elements of the Phantom lore, including his pet German Shepherd and his lovely girlfriend Diana, both modeled after his wife and pet dog, though not in that order. Shunning publicity, Moore spent most of his life living in St. Louis, just wanting to draw his pictures and tell his little stories and trying to stay as anonymous as possible. What a loser! Sunday's Democratic debate turned into a free-for-all of personal abuse and vituperation, with former astronaut who didn't piss his pants, John Glenn, accusing man Gary Kroger would kill his wife to see elected Walter Mondale of using gobbledygook, causing the former vice president to retaliate by saying all of Glenn's statements were baloney. Heavens to Betsy, in old man speak, that's like telling a farmer what you'd like to do to his daughter. I honestly don't know what all this shouting is about anyway. It's as if a half-dozen Black Widower spiders were having a Tejas death match just to be the one to approach the gigantic female at the center of the web. Congratulations to Joseph Harlow of Effingham, who has won a Commodore VIC-20 home computer given away by White Hen Pantry. What is this, 1982? Welcome to the Stone Age, Mr. Harlow. Just think, now you can put all of your phone numbers and recipes into this gigantic monstrosity, easily replacing the data storage device you had been previously using, the one which can fit in your breast pocket. British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher dodged questions about the financial dealings of her son, who was alleged to be connected to a firm which landed a $420 million contract from an Arab government, after Thatcher personally lobbied on behalf of said firm. Can you believe this? For the first time in human history, an elected official has used their influence to enrich their family. When will this madness end? She must be impeached now. You know, one thing I'll say about Ronald Reagan is that you'll never see him bending over backwards to help his children financially. He can't fucking stand them. Renowned ladder salesperson Yoko Ono says that she can't forget the killing of her husband, whom you may have heard is former Beatle Juan Lennon. In a rare interview in which she talks at length about him and their 8-year-old musical genius son Sean. By an astounding coincidence, this week also sees the release of the posthumous Milk and Honey, featuring 6 tracks Lennon recorded shortly before his death, as well as 6 unasked for tracks from Ms. Ono herself. While I admit I am morbidly curious about these songs, I sincerely hope that this is the last time we ever hear gussied up unfinished recordings of John Lennon from beyond the grave. From the Worth 1,000 Words department comes this picture of PLO leader Yasser Arafat meeting with other Islamic leaders in Casablanca. I'm no foreign affairs expert, nor an authority on body language, but it does appear as if the rest of the Arab world is pretty much through with Palestinian leadership. In fact, the meeting itself was boycotted by other Arab states because of Mr. Arafat's presence, including Iran, which is a real shame. Imagine a Palestinian governing body teaming up with the Islamic Republic of Iran. What a smashing combination that would be. Former Jackson 5 child prodigy Michael Jackson is all grown up now, completing a near sweep of every category last night at the American Music Awards. And that's not the only thing he dominated, judging from this picture of the Regent of Pop with the finally age-appropriate Brooke shields. I heard that after the ceremony, there was an earthquake at the Shrine Ritz-Carlton that was so vigorous, stage mother Terry Shields had to get up in the middle of the night and change her panties. The erstwhile Oakland Raiders, who have recently moved on up to Los Angeles, have broken the hearts of their fans, not just by leaving, but by once again making an appearance in the big game this Sunday. Civic leaders have not given up hope, however, vowing to always consider the team to be the Oakland Raiders and to create a package deal which will lure them back to their home. If such an effort is successful, I would personally give minus 750 million that they never move again. Kissing bandit Richard Dawson reportedly has refused to be interviewed by TV Guide for an issue featuring game show hosts because he would not be photographed alone on the cover. Dawson, an amateur photographer himself, even offered several samples which he had personally taken, but he was rejected faster than his late friend Bob Crane rejected John Carpenter. Not that John Carpenter. Teachers in Arkansas are up in arms over a proposed one-time skills test requirement recently passed by the state legislature. The American people are saying they are willing to take the shirts right off their backs if it will help improve education, said Governor Bill Clinton. And I personally am willing to take the shirt off of my back or the back of any teacher and administer the tests orally, face to face, or in any other position to each and every school mom in the state, no matter her age or experience. National Education Association President Mary Hartwood Futrell responded, while the teachers of Arkansas appear to be made the scapegoats in efforts to improve the quality of public education, adding, teachers find it hard enough to get ahead in their job. This blow by Mr. Clinton would be hard to swallow and will leave a stain on his legacy that will go down in history. Speaking of history, well done, white males, well done, smashing the matriarchy since 1970. What? Uh, Now I don't know what to think anymore. Pop quiz, hotshot. What is the difference between Ronald Reagan and his broken watch? Only one of them hates gay people.
No, it's not true. I don't like gay people neither.
What? That's not really a watch.
Oh, sí, mi amo, Johnny.
No, I can see your lips moving.
Oh, no me gustan los cafés con leche.
Well then, I guess you both hate the gays. I apologize.
Right.
Who said that? Tonight's show is brought to you by Microsoft Word, now available at 10 convenient software center locations throughout the Los Angeles area. Bring this ad to any location and will receive a free box of 10 360 kilobyte 5 1/4 inch diskettes, with each disc being able to save up to 150 pages of a printed document. Imagine having the capability to store almost a full Stephen King novel in a box slightly larger than a paperback. Microsoft Word, we promise you, one day, a computer will be able to draw hands. Now back to the show. A woman who never met a poor person she wouldn't cry over all the way to the bank, Mother Teresa, reports that a false charity has been robbing her of the money her fans send to her to help her stay on late-night TV commercials. Is it possible to die of irony? Puberty facilitator Diana Rigg has recently expressed her disappointment at the lack of quality roles for women, saying, I don't know why, I think we're fascinating creatures. And I wholeheartedly agree. With all the creative geniuses in the film industry, how is it that no one has been able to write a character complex and strong enough to allow Ms. Rig to peel off all of her clothing? A crime against cinema. John Demyanyuk, 63, a retired auto worker from Seven Hills via the Ukraine, is fighting deportation from the United States after being stripped of his citizenship in 1981. Demyanyuk faces prosecution after being accused of being Ivan the Terrible, the notorious Treblinka gas chamber operator personally responsible for the death of thousands of Jews during the Holocaust. Said Demyanyuk, no, I'm no Ivan the Terrible. I am his cousin, Ivan, the not so good. Listen, folks, they can't all be winners. You don't know what it's like dancing with the OCD devil. It's either a 45-minute show or a 0-minute show. The Reverend George Clements, a Catholic priest who adopted a teenage son in 1981, has added another teenage son to his family, this one from Nigeria. Said Clements, I don't really need another kid, but God says this one's getting too big to cuddle. He looks like the cat that ate the canary. If you think that was bad, check out the Daily News. No, you see, it's okay, because his name is Friday. You know, if I live to be 100, I'll never understand why the liberals hate Kissinger so much. Wait a minute. Didn't I do this joke last week? From the docu-soccer department, word has reached us that 1,000 Merganser ducks became disoriented and were swept over Niagara Falls on Monday. You would think that once they were falling, something might have occurred to them, but I guess that just means that only the stupid dinosaurs survived the meteor. Authorities are saying that the wall of a bungalow in Craigla was demolished by a runaway Volvo in reverse. But I wonder if they have stopped to consider if it was actually constructed by a returning Ovlov in first. A marine sentry in Ayachucho, Peru, opened fire on a group of funeral attendees, accidentally killing 3 children. I don't know. The first time I could see being an accident. Then the second time, maybe it was just bad luck. But by that third time, I think he was starting to like it. In yet another defeat for Big Brother, the US Supreme Court has ruled, 5-4, mind you, that citizens who videotape television programs for viewing later are not violating copyright law. Which means that if you are one of those people who has, I don't know, every episode of Barney Miller spread out across 34 cassettes hidden in a large box in the trailer on the back of your parents' property, you can safely remove them, providing the radiation hasn't melted them. The court also ruled that Sony cannot be held liable for consumers using Betamax cassettes to violate copyright law. The court also ruled that Sony cannot be held liable for consumers using Betamax cassettes to violate copyright law. You see what I did there? In response, the Walt Disney Corporation, which filed the lawsuit back in 1978, has vowed to purchase every iconic popular culture property and completely ruin them, including their own past masterpieces, in an effort to make no one want to even see them twice, much less preserve them for future use. The Daily Telegraph reports that a 13-year-old boy was found hanged in his bedroom minutes after watching a children's television program which depicted a hangman's noose, then had the good sense to immediately underneath it publish a story about a 14-year-old boy who hung himself after reading a newspaper article about hanging. If there are any young boys watching this program, get the fuck out! Didn't Didn't you see the first 10 seconds? From the Pot Calling Me Black Again department comes the latest in the never-ending series of marijuana arrests endured by former quarryman Paul McCartney and his wife, acoustic keyboardist Linda. This time, the duo were arrested in Barbados, followed up by an arrest 2 days later at Heathrow Airport. Asked why he left the pot in his suitcase after being told to get rid of it by Barbadosian authorities, the original Yoko Ono target said, "I didn't listen to what the man said." Baby, I'm ablazed. In a five-part series chronicling the life of jive scarecrow Michael Jackson, the Billie Jean rejector at last answers the cruel rumors about his sexuality, saying, "I'm sure I have gay fans. That doesn't bother me. But I am not gay." Well, I'm sure your gay fans appreciate their existence not bothering you. But as for whether or not you are gay, as far as I can tell, you are in no way happy or carefree. James Ellis, 32, from Flushing, was recuperating from a foot infection in a Queen's Hospital prison unit and tried to get out of bed at 3:55 p.m. yesterday in order to watch television. Told to return to the ward by a corrections officer, Ellis refused, and in the ensuing altercation was shot twice in the chest, causing superficial wounds. Well, let's look and see what was on that was worth getting shot over. 4 o'clock. Barnaby Jones, The Jeffersons, Love Connection, no. He-Man, no. Barnaby Jones? I take one Barnaby Jones under protest, but two, I won't sit still for it. Can I see Mr. Rogers for a minute, please? There's a bunch of stuff in Spanish. The Treasure of the Four Crowns. That's not even in 3D. What's the point? Thunderbirds. Amorous Sisters. Oh, oh yes. Oh yes, indeed. Brigitte Leia. I suppose if you're in prison, that's probably worth a minor wounding. In an effort to alleviate the fears of nervous Hong Kongians, the Chinese government has given details of its plans for the future of the British colonial jewel, which is due to revert to China's control in 1999. The plan calls for Hong Kong to become a special zone with its own separate economic system and way of life, which will last for 50 years. So you see, there is nothing to fear, at least until 2049. Ronald Reagan, the man who never met a helpful government policy he couldn't squeeze blood from, is inching ever closer to pretending to do something about acid rain, although it would appear as if it will be slashing the latest EPA proposal from $2.5 billion to less than $1. Because that is something you want to do, skimp on curbing acid falling from the skies. Surely there must be some horse whisperer out there who can convince the Gipper that acid rain is caused by the gays, the blacks, the communists, or aborted feti. And then maybe we'll get some results. Apparently, the Houses of Parliament have just had a full contingent of Wang computers installed, which I am just going to assume is what this headline refers to. Director John Landis, currently the subject of a preliminary hearing to determine if he should stand trial for manslaughter in the death of actor Vic Morrow and two children during the filming of Landis' segment of the Twilight Zone movie, asked for a continuance after listening to a full day's worth of testimony in which the director was depicted as shouting, "Lower, lower, fire, fire, to a bullhorn, while the nervous helicopter pilot descended and the production manager screamed, "Let's get out of here," before the entire aircraft augured into the ground occupied by the aforementioned unidentified two children. The presiding judge granted the continuance, saying, "See you next Wednesday." Tonight's show is brought to you by Von's Grosseteria, the official supermarket of this summer's Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Be like Steve and his family as they watch the first half of the NFL Championship game in human feces-free San Francisco this Sunday. Gorge yourself on Gino's pepperoni pizza while your idiot son Derek pretends to be Joe Theismann. Watch those knees, kiddo. And after putting him to bed for the second half, have your wife Linda let her hair down and change into something more sultry, while you are joined by Randall from work and his wife Diana and Linda's single friend Valerie, and you all do shots of 10 high sour mash bourbon, Smirnoff vodka, smooth as silk Kessler blended whiskey, and Cutty Sark scotch with Miller High Life chasers. Who will win the big game? Who cares? If you play your cards right, you will be the big winner. And if not, you'll at least get to watch Randall rail your wife, while Diana and Valerie. Mind blown. City police are asking for the public's help in identifying a man wanted for questioning with regards to a series of sex attacks in the Barbican area over the last 6 months. So if you've seen this man anywhere in London wearing this jacket, please contact them. That's right, this man, possibly with bad teeth, wearing this jacket, possibly outside a Poppy's or a Ladbrokes, possibly slagging off the Packies and the Jews, definitely thinks Margie's not bad for an old bint. Somewhere in London, please let the police know. Good luck. Nathaniel Carter, 33, of Peekskill, has been released from prison where he had served 28 months for killing his mother-in-law after his ex-wife confessed that she actually committed the murder. Unfortunately for Lady Justice, Ms. Carter had been granted immunity from prosecution for agreeing to testify during her former husband's trial, and may in fact have been given immunity from perjury before her confession, in which case she may be completely unprosecutable. Perhaps it's because I've been smoking too much of the unstucky wucky, but when I read this story, all I could hear was, "Speak for yourself, Matt Toon." By the way, nobody spells Matt with one T. Your name really should be Matt Oon. Reader Jill, 13, writes to Dr. Wallace about her mother, who refuses to discuss the facts of life with her. Dr. Wallace asks her to try again when her mother is in a better mood, saying that your parents are the best source of information about sex. Well, Dr. Wallace, I once asked my father about sex, and afterwards I couldn't sit down for a week. J.C. Penney is offering baby portraits for a penny per pound. Once again, I regret to inform the citizenry that you must in fact bring your own baby to be photographed. You cannot borrow another one, especially if they will be missed. President Ronald Reagan spent 2 hours explaining the U.S. position regarding the Palestinian Liberation Organization to Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir bin Mohamad during a meeting in Washington on Wednesday, which is approximately 1 hour and 59 minutes longer than he has spent explaining his position to the American public. The quarterbacks for this season's final NFL game of any consequence or import have each predicted the outcome of the contest. La Raiders tosser Jim Plunkett said, I feel pretty good. My arm feels strong. Our offensive line is healthy. Our receivers know their routes. What else can you say about Marcus Allen except stay away from O.J. Simpson's girlfriend? So I think we're going to put a lot of points on the board. When asked for a number, Plunkett said, Oh, I don't know, maybe 37, 38 points. When told of Plunkett's prediction, Washington racial slurs quarterback Joe Theismann dropped his helmet and said, Shit, I was only planning on scoring 9. Lifelong bachelor Mayor Ed Koch planted a kiss on Diana Ross after she handed him a check for $250,000 for the renovation of a children's playground in Central Park. Ms. Ross, who narrowly avoided being struck by lightning during her free concert last year, said she hadn't felt a kiss so passionate since snogging with Michael Jackson during the legendarily weird rap party for the Wiz at the tail end of 1977. If you speak it out loud, it will come into being. Reports are coming from Los Angeles that the government is finally about to do something about the alien problem. I know it was easy to snicker at Kenneth Arnold and Ray Palmer falling for the Maury Island incident hoax, and to laugh at George Van Tassel, Orfeo Angelucci, and George Adamski back in the 50s. But I would have thought that given the experiences of people as level-headed as Betty and Barney Hill and as trustworthy as Travis Walton, the government would be doing more about it. And it appears at last the INS is treating this problem with the seriousness which it deserves. Disclosure. It's not just a closure you are pointing out anymore. I just wanted to take a moment to state unequivocally that I have never even been to London. Here we see a picture of Cary Grant, who celebrated his 80th birthday on Wednesday, and boy howdy, do I hate that man. Why on earth is he so popular? What's the big deal about being extraordinarily handsome, charming, tall, a head full of hair, tan, British, dapper, and a master of comedy and romance, with a body of work that Randolph Scott could only dream of? Oh, I could be all those things too, if it wasn't for the people of Mattoon, Illinois. You know, this reminds me of one of my favorite Dean Martin jokes. Have you ever heard Cary Grant sneeze? Achoo! I suppose it's funnier if you do it in the voice. Pop quiz, hotshot. What's the difference between Ronald Reagan and this hand exerciser? The hand exerciser doesn't hate black people. Nope, no funny voices this time. It seems like McDonald's founder Ray Kroc's corpse isn't even freshly in the ground. Beef, yet. And here we have a jury awarding $52 million for a handshake deal alleged by Central Ice Cream Company's Tom Cummings. Cummings? Something about that name. I just don't trust any ice cream made by a man named Cummings. At least he's not named Richard. Anyway, either the McLawyers are too distraught over Croc's death to mount an effective defense, or it must be the most airtight case since Earth Day founder Ira Einhorn packed away Holly Maddox, because how on earth could you lose to a man dressed like this? Forget Jerry Spence, they would have lost to Skip Spence. Tonight's show is brought to you by Dave Mason Auto. Are you feeling stuck in traffic? Come see my new 1984 Mercury Cougars, less than $10,000 delivered, and you'll be feeling all right. Beat that crosstown traffic in a brand new Buick Skylark with a price so low, only you know and I know how much you saved. Drive home in one of my custom vans starting at $39.98, and I'll throw in a free sunroof, which you can retract when it rains, so it won't be letting in water. When you deal with Dave Mason Auto, there's only you and me, and we won't disagree about our prices. Check out our new location in Skate Town, USA. Seriously, it has to be seen to be believed. And now back to the show. US forces are on high alert for kamikaze attacks in Lebanon. They say the generals are always fighting the last war, but Lebanon seems pretty far from Japan to me. Wouldn't their planes run out of fuel before then? You know, the word thoughts is not one I would normally associate with the Raiders or their fans. The Law Times has a feature this week on flamboyant TV personality Jimmy the Greek Snyder, a man with opinions who was also never too drunk to share them. Snyder is best known for appearing on nationwide sport programming, offering betting handicaps for every contest in the public eye, despite the illegality of sport wagering throughout 93% of the country. Nevertheless, he has become very successful, and people often wonder why. I think it is because the Greek is the superior odds maker to begin with, because he's been bred to be that way, because of his high frontal lobes and big frontal lobes that goes up into his motor cortex. And they can calculate the odds higher and figure out the vig faster because of their bigger frontal lobes. And he's bred to be the better odds maker because this goes back all the way to the Peloponnesian War, when during the Archidamian War, Pericles would breed his big-brained Athenian to his big Thracian woman so that he could have a big-brained kid, see? That's where it all started. I want to kiss you. Well, I say to you, Enoch Powell, get back to where you once belonged. That may be too deep a cut. Tonight on Jim'll Fix It, a young lad learns to play the didgeridoo and has lessons from Toy Me Kangaroo Down sport singer Rolf Harris. As I understand it, the correct way to play a didgeridoo is to form a tight seal with your lips around the end of the long tube. Take a deep breath and loosen your throat. Oh God, arrest these two already. Oh yeah. That actually sounds like a pretty good idea right now. Well, maybe in 45 minutes. From the biggest hyperbole in the history of the universe department, we find nose up his own arse newspaper editor David Bergen of the Orlando Sentinel complaining about NFL officials confiscating film from a staff photographer who was taking pictures of a closed Washington dirt worshippers practice on Thursday, and then returning it 6 hours later, calling their actions an absolute outrage and a Gestapo tactic. When reached for comment, NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle, whom Bergen referred to as Big Brother, sat impassively for a moment, then quietly picked up his phone. Frau Junge, he said into the receiver, get me Obergruppen für einen Sturmenleiter Tagliabue. Herr Tagliabue? Ja, bring in David Bergen from the Orlando Sentinel. Meine desk lamp needs a new shade. Is he now? Well, I appreciate the recommendation, but really, I'm looking for more of a back specialist. Say, boy, now that's what I call cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You should hear the ones that don't make the final cut. And finally tonight, I say bravo to our town's Journal Gazette. Bravo. Take that, ladies. And with that, you now have my permission to to look away.